Hey everyone, John here, Midnight Paint and Body Channel. In this week's video, we're going to replace wheel arches and wheel houses in this '09 GMC truck. Except I forgot to order the parts. Yep, great. So yes, the job I have brought in for this week is this '09 GMC 8-foot bed. Rusty wheel arches, pretty common, so it's going to need wheel arches and wheel houses. I thought I'd ordered the parts for this job. I didn't. I don't have them. It's already Tuesday because it was a stupid long weekend. So I got this job in, realized I didn't have the parts, so I had to order them right away. The wheel arches I could have overnight because they are in stock down the lower mainland here in British Columbia. The wheel houses, unfortunately, are in the US. They're coming out of Seattle, so I won't have those until the day after. So bottom line is I'm not going to have parts till Thursday, and it's already Tuesday, so that really screws me up. But one of those things, stuff happens, and I'm kind of operating under a little bit of burnout lately, so I'm going to use that as my excuse that man, I totally overlooked it. But anyway, you didn't come here to listen to me complain, I don't think, 'cause that'd be weird. Anyway, so yes, this one has rusty wheel arches like they all have. Now, yes, it's rusted through. I know I say this in every video on these things, guys, but I see lots of guys saying, oh, it's just minor surface rust. These are always rusted through by the time you see that. And I'll show you. We'll cut it open and I'll show you what's going on inside. Even this side, all it's got is a few bubbles. See those? One of the best ways to tell, now you see, these are bubbles, but the paint is not broken. That tells you immediately that is from the inside, because it's coming through from the other side of the paint. So again, we'll cut this wheel arch out and I will show you what's going on inside. Excuse me. The wheel houses. By the time you see this, they always need the wheel house as well, which is on this guy. These body styles a little nicer because you can do just this section. You can see that seam there. There's a seam there, and you need to replace this piece. But by the time you see this, that is rusted through as well. I don't know if there'd be enough light. Oh yeah, well it's pretty clear on this one. So you can see she's rotten. So we're going to be replacing those. Now the one thing about these wheel houses that you have to be careful of, so they weld to the front and rear part of the wheel house, but they also weld to the inner bedside. So these do burn the paint on the inside of the box. I'm going to try something a little different on this one, maybe. I was thinking maybe I'll see if I can just leave a flange and slip the other one on top and weld it to it. Then we're not burning the inside of the box. It just saves me having to paint in there. And actually, okay, yeah, that's definitely what I'm doing. When they have a spray-in bed liner, they're a disaster because it burns and bubbles all the spray-in bed liner and makes one hell of a mess. So yeah, I'm going to be trying to do this one without welding to the inside of the bed. So I'm going to go against one of my own rules here. Now you should never, ever, 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 ever cut a vehicle apart until you have the parts in your hand. I have done enough of these. I know where the panels go to. I know how the panels come. So I'm going to actually cut this section out. We're going to get those inners out. I can have everything prepped up. You know, today's Tuesday, so I've got 2 days. I'll probably work on something else tomorrow, but I'll have it all ready, and then when I get the parts Thursday, it'll be ready to go. And the other thing is, I think I might use adhesive on this one. Structural adhesive, panel bond, like a 3M 8115. I've said before, there's pros and cons to gluing or welding. I usually weld them, but I've kind of done a couple with glue lately, and I'm kind of starting to like that better. So anyway, that's where we're at. I'm going to do a little tear down, and I'll bring you back when I start cutting this thing open. Oh, so I took off the mud flaps and tail lights. Not much to take apart on this. So now, like I mentioned, you should never cut these out if you don't have the panels. Now, these panels come up to about here. The aftermarket RRP, rust replacement panels. So they're usually, I would say, about there, roughly. I'm not going to take any kind of chances. So my inner panel goes to about here. So I'm just going to kind of cut out enough that I can get my wheelhouse taken out as well. So I think we'll just kind of cut something like that. And then when we get the actual panels, I can trim out the rest of it. Basically what I'm doing now is just kind of prepping for having the new panels. So I'm gonna grab a grinder and let's just get this outside skin cut off, and I'll show you guys what's going on inside there. So there you go. There's what the inside of your panels look like. And also, here's what the wheelhouses look like. So, remember when I said they'd need to be replaced? Yep, they're pretty crusty. So, the older body style, these are all one piece. You have to do this entire thing. These ones are a little nicer in that you can just do this center section. You know, if the rust goes beyond, obviously you need to do more, but I've found on these you're usually okay just with this center piece. So I'm going to trim this up a little more, then we'll start cutting this guy out. So now this outer wheelhouse, it is spot welded to the other panels. So there's a spot weld there, and they go in. Now the way I will do these typically, I'm just going to take my zip cut and cut on the inside, but I'll cut kind of out here away from the joint a little bit, and then we'll work on taking the remains of the metal out rather than trying to take it out one piece. It's easier just to cut the bulk of the rusty panel out of your way. So I'll be cutting along there, and I'm going to cut about 1 inch away from that bedside. Like I said, I'm going to try doing this one a little different. I don't know for sure that we'll continue with that plan, but for now I'm going to cut it like that, and then once we get the new parts on Thursday, we'll see if that plan is going to work. There's our outer wheelhouse. So now you can see when we get our new panel, it's just going to slip underneath this panel right to, well, you can see where the old one was. And I will possibly slip it underneath. I'll probably cut this flange off of the new panel and slip the new one just up to there, and then I can drill it and plug weld it to this flange rather than welding to the bed side, which is going to bubble and burn the spray and bed liner. As long as I can get up inside there and seal everything up really well, I think that will be totally a fine way to do it. I just don't want to have to deal with the burnt bed liner. So, I'm going to clean this up a little bit, and then we'll cut out the other side, and I'll bring you guys over there to see what we find, because like I showed you, that side looked barely bubbled at all, but I guarantee it's going to look similar to this. It won't be as bad. Driver's side is always worse, no matter what you're working on. I don't know why. I think here where we are in British Columbia, we probably a lot of the crap on the roads in the wintertime gets pushed towards the middle. I know when you're driving, you know, your passenger side of the vehicle passes, or sorry, driver's side passes the driver's side of the other vehicle, so you get all the road spray off of the other vehicle on your driver's side. They're just always worse. They're always way more chipped up, and they're always rustier. So, whatever the reason is, you know, let me know what you guys think. Put her in the comments. Let me know why you think the driver's side is always worse. But that's my theory anyway. Just a theory. One man's opinion. Okay, I'm gonna clean up. We'll hit the other side. So here's for the guys that say they have minor surface rust, but it's not through. Not this guy, he didn't say that. It's just something I've heard many times in my career. So let's have another look at this wheel opening. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 little bubbles. That's it. Whatever you put on the outside of this is not going to help. You can clean that off, you can use all that rust converter, primer, whatever you want. It will be a waste of time. So here is our passenger side cut out. So this is the one, guys, that just had the minor bubbling. Yep, that's what's going on the inside. So right where those bubbles are, I can feel both sides that it's through. Let's see. So yeah, kind of the bad one right there. That's, yeah, anyway, I knew it was through. There's never a question. So that's kind of what our inside of our panels look like. Even this wheelhouse, you know, you'd probably get away with this one. No, you wouldn't. You see, even with that minor rust, or what was minor on the outside. See how thick that scale is. And usually by the time you get through that scale, it's got holes. So she's pretty soft. So that one needs to be replaced as well. Well, good morning. It's Thursday already. And we still haven't done anything on our red truck. But I did just get my freight. Of course, it's Thursday already, but I didn't start till Tuesday because it was a stupid long weekend. Anyway, thankfully this one doesn't have to be done by Friday. It's actually kind of the funny thing about being self-employed. You know, when you have a job and the week goes quick, it's like, yay, it's already Friday tomorrow. When you're self-employed, it's like, shit, it's already Friday tomorrow. Eh, doesn't matter. So here's our parts, guys. So here is our outer wheel houses. So I showed you cutting those out. So RRP 4445 is the left side. Right side will be an RRP 4446. And here is our wheel arch panels. These guys, so RRP 996, so that'll be the right. And the left should be an RRP 995. Oh, sorry, 997. RRP 997 for the left. And like I always tell you guys, RRP is a designation for a rust repair panel. So let's just take this guy over to the truck. So now, as you can see, these come with a lot of meat. So they are a large repair panel. Now, the way I personally always do these ones, I'll cut it just below this body line. In this case, I think we're going to glue these panels, but I find even welding them, it's nice to weld at that body line. It gives it some strength to stop from the warpage. I do think we're going to glue these ones. Yeah, so pretty straightforward there. First thing I'm going to do is trim back this panel. I'm going to get it sitting on the body where I want it, and then we'll mark the body and I'll trim out the rest of the metal here, and then we'll get those inner panels in, the outer wheel houses. So I have trimmed up the panel the way I like them, and on that note, guys, just like I always say, what I show you here is just the way I do things. It's what works for me. I'm not saying it is the way or the right way or the only way. I just share what I do. Now you can see that panel fits super nice. It actually, I mean, these just fit. They fit perfectly tight all the way around. So, nothing wrong with these panels at all. And I don't say that because I'm sponsored or anything. I definitely don't have sponsors. So, I am marking out our panel with a Sharpie that sort of works, kind of, hopefully. Oh yeah, that worked. So now you can see where my line is. That is not my cut line. That is just where the panel's going to go to. Because I am planning to glue this one, use structural adhesive, I need to leave, oh, I'd say 3/4 of an inch, half inch, 3/4 of an inch of a flange there. So I'm going to cut about half inch, 3/4, roughly below that flange. We're going to get rid of the rest of that metal that we don't need. And then we're going to, well, and then we're going to start prepping to put the inner in. I'm just getting this out of the way now to give us more room to put the wheelhouse in. So now something that's important is to make sure you're into clean metal, which, you know, once you get up into these panels, they're usually good up here. So I'm going to grab our inner panel and we'll start fitting that up. So our outer wheelhouse, I think I've changed my plan here a little bit. I talked about maybe saving some of this flange so I don't have to weld to that inner. I'm going to cut the rest of this out. And I think what I'm going to do is actually glue this part, but I'll still put spot welds on that part because The thing with structural adhesive, it does rely on compression. It needs to be clamped. Now, because there's no way to really clamp in there, if I use glue in there and then weld these spots, it's going to hold it. It's going to create that compression. It's going to hold it tight while the glue cures. So I'm going to go ahead and knock the rest of that out of there. And there's one thing I've noticed with these before. These are only held on with 3 spot welds to the inner bed side anyway, so it's not super strongly welded in there. So I've thrown a quick bead of adhesive on the inner bed side. So these panels are pretty simple. I say they're pretty simple. Get in there. Go that way. There we go. Nice and centered. All my clamps are junk. Nice squish out of our adhesive, so we're tight up against it. Now, I went ahead and punched a few holes in the existing metal. So now I'm just going to grab the welder. We're just going to plug weld these. We'll kind of move around. We'll hammer that down. It's up a little bit there, but that's nothing. We'll just make sure everything's nice and tight. And then, yeah, we'll throw some welds on this. We'll run around and do the other side. So I have just quickly smeared a coat of seam sealer around the edges of this panel. So it's glued, it's welded, and now it's seam sealed. So it's not going anywhere. So now I am just going to blast a coat of just black rust prevention paint over all of this inside. This is going to make the water run off, and it's just going to make it last a lot longer. So I will coat all of this while it's accessible, and then when we're done, when we've got a panel welded on the outside, I'm going to spray up in there with this paint to get all the seams of our new panel as well. Alright, so with our inners all coated, ready to do a final fit of our repair panel. It's pretty straightforward. Right. So because I'm going to be doing these ones with structural adhesive, I'll show you the way I do them. So I'm going to blow a couple of self-tappers into this thing, because the panel is, right now, right where I want it. So now basically those are for alignment. So when I take it back off, put it back on, we're going to use those 2 screws to put it on with the glue, and then I'll show you guys how I do them from there. So anywhere that you're using adhesive requires a good bare metal tooth. So you want usually like a 36 grit disc. And you want a nice tooth or a nice scratch put in the metal for the glue to bite into. And it needs to be both sides, so I'm going to do the inside of our repair panel and this flange on the bed. Okay, battery died there somewhere, but so you're also going to want to deburr this inside edge. So this is 3M 8115 structural adhesive, panel bonding adhesive. Now, I don't own the proper applicator gun for this stuff, so I just squeeze it out of the tubes and mix it like body filler. It's the exact same result in the end. So I've also ground off that lip on our repair panel, and I've already put a coat of this on that. You want to coat both sides. Obviously, if you have the proper applicator, you just squeeze it out and it mixes itself, but they're expensive. I don't have one, so I just do them this way. Just so you know, this stuff is expensive. My cost on it is over $100 for a tube, and I will use the entire thing just doing these wheel arches for sure. Okay, so there's our panel with a coat of adhesive on the inside of it, all the way around the lip, all the way around the perimeter, just like the box. Now, you do have a long working time with this stuff. It's definitely not fast setting by any means. So you do have time to fool around and get your fit just right if you need to. I just need to find my hole. It's not there. Come on. As I said before, guys, I'm just showing you the way I do these. Now, the first time I took formal training using this stuff, I mean, it was probably 30 years ago. And I've done more updated training when I was working as an estimator. And that was probably 10, 15 years ago. So processes might have changed, but my knowledge of this stuff is that it does require compression. So it has to be clamped everywhere. In a panel like this, you can't really clamp that opening. There's no way to get a clamp up in there. I can clamp the wheel lip, no problem. But I'm gonna show you the way I do these. Again, just my way. I've had good success. I'm gonna go get a couple different tools, some clean gloves, and I'll show you what we do. Okay, so the way I achieve compression all the way around. Now, I have seen guys just use self-tappers so they're nice and tight, then take the self-tappers out tomorrow and just use some more glue to fill the holes. But I've seen that where with the expansion, contraction on a hot day, you see those spots and you see a halo of these repairs. That's one of the reasons I haven't used this stuff much. So the way I've been doing them is 1/8 inch holes, an 1/8 inch rivet, dipped in glue to seal it up. And then tomorrow I grind the heads off of those and I do my body work. When I'm done, I will seal up the backside of this panel really well. Kind of the reason I've gone back to doing them this way, I have had, if you guys watch my videos, I've had a couple of kind of comebacks in the last few years, or last few months. I had a customer stop in recently with a truck I did about 6 years ago. And I had done that truck this way. And it still looked perfect. So, I'm kind of going back to the glue route. So, I'm open to any criticisms, guys who have more experience with this stuff than I do. You know, I'm open to whatever, but just showing you the way I do it. So I'm going to put those rivets around every 6 inches or so around the panel. And then, unfortunately with this stuff, it will then have to sit until tomorrow. So if I was to weld these panels, I can body work them right away. But I'd be welding for the next few hours. This way, you can't grind it down body work. It's supposed to be 24 hours, and overnight is fine. You can force dry it with heat, with a heat lamp, but I'd rather just let it cure on its own, and we'll finish it up tomorrow. So that's probably when I'll see you guys next. Hey, I'm back. Actually, I'm still here. It's still the same day. It's really hot out, so I actually had this out for like an hour and a half outside out in the hot sun, and this thing is cured up. So I think it's going to be fine to go ahead and start prepping it for filler. Okay, so a coat of short strand fiberglass filler. This is Everglass over the seams. Is the way I do it. Really smash it in there. So the fiberglass filler is a lot more waterproof than regular body filler, so it just adds a little protection. I feel, anyway. So here's a little bit of short strand just filling in the seam. So as you can see, pretty minor amount of body filler. I mean, you do need to make up that little bit of gap. The thickness of the metal, which is very minimal. So this is ready for a coat of body filler, but I'm gonna wait till morning. It's not even 5 o'clock yet, but man, it's hot. It's been a long day, so I think I'll just wait. And I don't like to put filler on and leave it overnight, or it's harder to sand if it sits overnight. So that's enough for today. And we'll see you guys in the morning. We'll finish up the body work and get some primer on this old girl. Well, good morning. It's actually Friday morning here, guys. I jumped ahead. I was out here at super early o'clock, so I've already got the body work done. I didn't bother recording that part, just the body filler and sanding. Just a really light skiff. It's not much at all. So I am ready to take this around to the paint booth and blow it off and mask it up for some primer. So I'll see you guys over there shortly. So the next step in our process here, guys, is primer. As you can see, I jumped ahead again. We're all masked up in the booth. So the way I do these is a coat of epoxy primer, and then it'll probably get 3 coats of high build urethane primer. The primer I use, actually the high build, is a direct to metal. It's a DTM, so you could do it without the epoxy, but I like having that extra step of protection. I don't entirely trust DTMs myself. Probably just the old school me, just yeah, you know how it is. I try to warranty everything I do, so I take every possible step I can to make these things last. So anyway, I'm gonna bang some primer on this thing. I'm not gonna record it. I just want to get this done, but I will bring you guys back for a look once she's all primed up. So here's our truck all primed up, guys. Coat of epoxy, 3 coats of high build urethane. So what I'm going to do now, before I kick it out in the sun to bake, I'm going to put some black rust prohibitor paint, and I'm going to climb underneath this thing, and I'm going to spray the inside of these bed panels the best I can. I'm going to seal up all that work we did on the inside of the panels. So it's kind of a messy part. I need to climb under the truck and spray up inside. It's kind of gross, but I'm going to get her done, and then I'm going to kick this thing out in the sun and bake this primer, because I think I could probably be prepping on this a little later before the end of the day. Hey, what's up, guys? Thought I should do a little check-in. It's actually Saturday. I'm just out here trying to get this ready to paint. I did get a lot of the prep work done Friday afternoon. I was able to get primer on this. I put it out to bake in the hot sun. That cures it up pretty fast. But I have been blocking and blocking and blocking. I've got the panels nice and straight. I just figured I'd kind of show you guys this step. It is mostly prepped. Now, the reason we leave a little bit like this, now this is something I usually go over on these videos, but maybe you're new here and you don't know this. Base coat, clear coat systems. Of course, we have our base coat, our paint, and our clear coat, which is the shine. The reason we use base coat paints is for their blending ability. So now when I paint this panel, I can put my red paint on, and I can stop my red paint, basically the edge of my repair, kind of blend it out. I will not be putting my paint right to this edge. Now the reason we do that, we kind of stop our paint, and then we clear coat the entire panel. That way we are maintaining this factory color match between panels. So if I'm to paint right to here, you're leaving a possibility of a color match issue. But by blending and leaving some of the factory finish, you're ensuring that you will have color match. So just thought I'd show you guys that. But yeah, this thing is, I don't know, it's coming along. It's almost ready. I got most of this side done. Everything's kind of jammed in here because it's the weekend. Yeah, I'm doing the tailgate on the truck as well. So. Anyway, little Saturday check-in. If you haven't seen my video on the cheap Vivor bead roller, check this out if you're interested in this kind of stuff. It works pretty darn good. That's just a practice panel, my first time ever using it, but it kind of shows you what it's capable of. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. It's pretty cool if you're into that metalwork and stuff. Anyway, I'm getting back to work. I'll probably see you guys back here Monday when I'm ready to paint this thing. What's up, everybody? It is Monday morning. So I have our red Chevy truck, GMC truck, all prepped up, masked up, ready to paint. It's all washed, ready to go. I've got paint in the gun. This one is GMWA 9260. Pretty common red on these. So my plan here this morning actually is I'm just going to spank my first coat of base coat on here because I know I need to pick up clears. So I'll just bang on my first coat of base, and then while that cures, I'm just going to whip into town, pick up a few supplies, and when I come back, a couple more coats of base and clears. So yeah, so this is the first coat, and then we'll go from there. Oh, there she is, all sprayed up. So that can sit now until tomorrow. And get it out of there, get it all finished up and cleaned up and ready for the customer. So there it is, guys, another one finished up, ready for the customer, all washed up, ready to go. So now this is the kind of repair, I mean, you could do this at home if you don't have a welder. Using the structural adhesive really kind of opens up these repairs for DIY kind of stuff. Oh, it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, you might not get this result, but you might just have a rusty old truck you want to fix up and just make it better. And that's what this is all about, why I try and help guys out. And remember too, I know I've done these videos before, but a lot of the reason I do these guys is for the customer as well. You know, the people that own these vehicles that work on, I'd like for them to be able to see how things are getting repaired and what's getting done. So, yeah, keep that in mind. So, as always, you guys, thank you for checking out my videos. If you haven't already, you know, you could push the little subscribe button there. It helps me out, or, you know, like and share, whatever, all that YouTubey stuff. I do appreciate it if you do. So, as always, guys, thank you for watching, and I do hope you will come back and check out my next video. We'll see you then.